Hi, and welcome to another edition of Enlightened Espresso. I'm here with Master Trung. Welcome. Thank you for joining. You always got that big smile. Where do you get this sense of peace from?
Just being here right now, right here. Yes.
So, and that's interesting you say, because today we want to talk about being in the moment.
Okay.
And you very much say, especially during meditation, let's just be where we are at this very moment. Mm-hmm. And so many of us live in the future or the past, thinking about things we did or we need to do. Mm-hmm. Why is it so important to stay right here in the present?
Why do you think the past is so important?
Is that a rhetorical question, or are you asking?
But that is a feeling that we all have. We all think about the past. We always want to go back to the past because probably we regret that we didn't do well. Sometimes some of the trauma that we can never forget. And the past have a hold on us, and the memory of the past, especially the negative memories, always have a hold. It holds us back.
Right.
Always go toward that. That's the circuit always going back to that and remind us of all these suffering, all the negative feelings. That part of that neurological path. So we have to be trained to be right in the moment now. And if you understand that, sometimes we project the future, but project the future doesn't mean that we stay in the future. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we daydream. Oh, that doesn't happen either. So most of the time when we talk about, oh, you stay in the past or not the future, but more likely we stay in the past more than the future.
And you mentioned that so much of our past we look at as negative, and even for me, when I think back in years past, and there's always, I think for all of us, for a negative memories. Why are we programmed to look at the negative instead of the positive?
The neuroscientists have the answer. I don't, but the Buddhist is always looking forward, and we're looking at the moment now, and according to the Buddha, why we are holding back by the past there, because it's part of the journey. The Buddha didn't say that, hey, stay in the moment only. He said, be aware of the whole path. Never reject anything. Sometimes we hold back by the experience that there in the past that we are so regretful. But it doesn't mean that the Buddha said, no, don't forget about the past. He doesn't say forget about the future. We are so familiar with the now. Okay, stay in the now and be the now and be free. But we need to be careful because be in the now. What is that in the now? Are we actually in the now, or we just simply fool ourselves and block ourselves from thinking about the past and block ourselves from project a plan, a good plan for the future? So we have to be very careful about saying it be in the now. So for the Buddhist, the meditation that are practiced on the now, the present moment, is that we activate the sense of intuition that we can see the past. You look at my hand, the past. Uh-huh. Not at the back here, the past.
Right.
So we see the past right here. So we're not seeing the past over there. No, I'm seeing the past right here.
Yes.
In other words, we rise beyond and above and look into all things that moves.
What is that tendency, though, to hang on to things that have happened in the past? And, 30, 40 years ago, we'll look back and say, oh, but you're still angry or resentful or wondering, right? You still have questions or hurt by that past.
That's the vulnerable ego. Because we cannot identify ourselves with the ever-present light.
Okay.
We identify ourselves with a very vulnerable ego. With the ego, it had history. The ever-present light or the true mind doesn't have a history. And therefore, when we talk about, okay, be in the present, sometimes we be in the very ego, very vulnerable ego, and we bypassing by saying, yeah, I'm staying here. I'm not talking about the past anymore. I'm not talking about the future. I'm right here. But it's very painful ego. Try to stop seeing in all directions. And therefore, the first thing we need to do is we connect with the ever-present, the light within us. We connect with that, and we look at all of this, the past, the present, let it unfold. Let us see all of them, but don't get stuck. When we don't get stuck in any of them, we are living in the present.
But they were programmed in some ways.
Programmed somewhere, yes, very
When-
good. The
like
memory,
we're-
the brain.
The
yes.
brain, it takes us back, and then we react without. Why do we react without thinking? And why do we go back to those habits?
Very irrational, very irrational. The brain has this function of being rational, the frontal lobe, but being very irrational, the midbrain, the limbic, all of that. So you ask the question, why it happened like that? It was structured like that. The midbrain, the inside the limbic system, it doesn't allow us to be rational. The rational part is only the front part, the frontal lobe. And therefore, we cannot just simply say, oh yeah, I don't want to be talking about the past. It takes us to the past.
Okay.
The emotional memory. It takes us to the past, and it takes us into many directions that we call irrational. So that is the structure of the brain. And therefore, the strategy is not to deny them, but to even rise above and activate an intuition we all have. And that intuition helps us to realize the ever-present, the light, the nature, the true mind. So when we have this realization of the ever-present, suddenly the past, all the experience, is no longer a pain. We look at them, we are not confused by them. We don't have any wish, we just look at them as it is. And we don't need to project the future because we are moving, the force of habits, the force of the past, keep moving and keep moving. And be able to be in the ever-present, the light within. And how do you experience that light? It's a meditation. That's the whole crux of meditation.
Mm-hmm. But the ever-present light, could you define that for the audience so we have a context to build on?
Well, that's a hard question because if I can define it, if I can see it, there is no longer ever-present. It's ready to move forward, ready.
Fair enough. But all we have is words here. So with words, help me understand.
Here, let me give you a good example. So this man named Paco.
Okay.
Literally, all the machine tells that he's dead. He's flatline. Suddenly, he saw himself, boom, somewhere, and he can see the surgery room. He can feel everything there. He can feel his body is so cold and dead. Then he started connected with the people, his folks, people who passed away. He'd connect with them. Everything happened like that. There's no time in it. There's no dimension of time. There's no dimension of space. He realized all of them, and he doesn't talk. He just realized all of them. And when he would ask, all right, this is a happy place, stay here. Oops, he remember. He reconnect with his brain, he connect with his consciousness, come back. But that right before he's coming back, that very space is the ever-present light. He see everyone, everything. He see the world beyond the materialism. He see everything, all its entirety, without any thought, without any wish, without any need to be invited. He see like that. And he stay in that a very short moment until his folks, his relatives call him, hey, come and stay with us. And that's when he lost his ever-present life. He come back to the present form. So he come back and he talked to his organs, he talked to the lungs, the hearts, and only one heart. He talked to the brain, he talked to everything, and then he wake up. And he see that he gone through the tunnel of darkness and go to the other side of the light. And that light bring him back to the ever-present form. And that form is not quite ever-present, but this is the reality he see here. So what I'm saying is ever-present light can be experienced by any normal being without any training. In his case, he died and he revived. But in that moment of death, he sees this ever-present light.
Right.
And I don't say saw, I say sees. He sees its ever-present light.
He sees it, and you talked about meditation helping
Then-
you with the past so that you
Right.
get to that ever-present light.
Exactly. So we reactivate that light. So meditation is a very interesting part because it doesn't have any door. You can learn the structure. You can learn how to visualize the sun, the moon, the laser beam, all this wonderful
During
thing
meditation.
during meditation. But that is a pretext for you to one day, boom, you realize that ever-present light. It makes you go beyond and make you accept everything. So you don't go away from the past. We see your pain, you see your trauma, you see your whatever negative experience you have in the past and the positive experience, but you never get away from them. You just see them, you accept them, acknowledge them. Like Paco. He sees them all. But he cannot just simply deny them. Now, when he comes back from death, the interesting part of this, he doesn't, what do you call them, move the eyes? What did you call them? What is that called?
Moving the eyes?
Yeah, you said he wasn't, blink.
Not blinking, yes. I was telling you off camera that he didn't blink for 4 days.
Yeah,
which was
he
interesting.
doesn't blink. But
Yes.
what does that mean? It's in the ever-present. His soul, the eyes, is the door to the soul. The soul now sees the ever-present light.
So as we wrap up, so sometimes when I'm going to sleep, I'll be thinking about the past or something I should have done, or the future, something I need to do. But I help me because I think I tend to fall asleep when I'm more feeling right in the moment. Are there tools or strategies to keep you from going, right, worrying about things you can't control or may have controlled you in the past?
You always have the structure. You have to follow the structure in meditation. Any meditational system, they have the structure that you follow to in order to keep you staying very stable and realizing the ever-present light. And seeing the ever-present light is not the whole game. It's only partial of it. You see the ever-present light, then what is the function of it? It helps you to be free from the ego, the vulnerable ego. And it helps you to rise beyond this feeling that you have to look from the ego. And there's only one point of view. But seeing from the ever-present light can help you to see through the ego. It's the sense of self, you can see through them. And then you have to integrate back. When you integrate back, we call you develop the ever-growing awareness, ever-growing compassion, ever-growing light. So there is ever-present, but also the ever-growing. So ever-present help you to be free from the mundane, the attachment, the web of darkness. But then you have to coming back and integrate with that, with it. And so that's another topic. But it means that when we feel that we be in the present, in the now, we need to see that maybe we fool ourselves to think that we can be in the now. We just simply block all the pathway to the past, or past painful experiences. Only when we connect with the ever-present light and we be able to come back with the ever-growing goodness, ever-growing compassion, then that is complete pictures help us to always stay in the present.
So we have to understand the entire landscape in order to be here in the present.
Very good. That's a very good point, yes. Yes.
Okay.
So we cannot just stand on the top of the mountain and say, yeah, I'm around the present. But what is the next step? The next step, you've fallen down on this.
All right. Well, on
Is that a good- is that a good
that's a good
metaphor?
example. Yes, as usual. So I want to thank you. In future episodes, I want to talk a little more about the ego and how that's defined.
And the ever-growing light, how we can transform the ego. We need the ego, but we need to transform it in a way that is, we help us to always realize the goodness within.
Wow, that's a great way to end. So thank you for your time today, Master.